Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth, coming to you from the southwest corner of Washington State, 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena. Now, before I go any further into the show, I'd like to announce that we are at over 70,000 views for the channel, so thank you all for tuning in. We're at about 516, 517 subscribers, more or less, so I will continue to invite you to subscribe to the channel. We're always going to be giving you Red Wings action, recaps of the games. We'll spotlight players. We'll go back in time to some of the throwback moments. And our Throwback Thursday, we'll talk about some of the fights, discipline going on, Tantrum Tuesday, all kinds of different things throughout the week. While the NHL is on hiatus, I'm going to basically be covering the Olympics, at least on the men's ice hockey side of it all. It started basically just an hour ago with Slovakia and Finland, and then Sweden and Italy are going to take each other on a little later. So those are two teams that I consider not necessarily favorites. I was going to say that, Canada is going to be the favorite, and some of the other teams that are going to make noise are the United States, but also Sweden and Finland are two that I expect to make a little bit of noise and make it a little difficult for some of these other teams that may be expected to be coasting a little bit, but we'll see in these preliminaries how they do. Speaking of teams, I've been profiling or basically spotlighting a couple teams at a time each show, and today I decided to go with Germany and Switzerland. Starting with Switzerland, this is kind of one of those tests to my phonetic abilities, and to see how crafted I am and how talented I am in pronouncing those European names, but I will basically give you guys this disclaimer that I am not that great at it. Luckily, somebody like Chuck Bowler was able to take care of that kind of noise when it came to the Voices of Hockey, especially when it came to the Russian Five. But we're talking about Switzerland now. Team Switzerland: Fiala, Hischier, Kirchhoff, Meyer, Niederreiter, Suter, Yossi, Moser, Siegenthaler, and Schmid. Now, I'm also going to reel off the German team. These are all the NHL representation. I'm not going to try to even, say all the other ones because they're obviously not the household names. Like, well, in Germany, we got Draisaitl, Peterka, Sturm, Stützle, Mo Seider, our boy, Grubauer. Okay, not too many on either of those teams, really, just like a handful. I think it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Germany, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Switzerland. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a chance. That doesn't mean that they're not going to make some noise. I do expect some of those other teams that we've already profiled to be the ones making the biggest noise here in the next 2 weeks with the Olympics going on. But, Cinderella stories are called that way for a reason. So we'll keep updated. Tomorrow I expect to start giving you guys results, and we'll have a little bit of previews of the games that are going on for Thursday. Basically, I think that there's a few more on the slate than there are today, basically over there in Milano. So we'll continue to give updates. That's really all I can do right now because the action hasn't really yielded any results yet, but you'll start to see him here, and you'll start to basically see me making good with my promise to give you guys some updates during the Olympics. Now we're going to switch gears because I have mentioned before that I am the author of The Voices of Hockey. I've noticed the sales have gone up quite a bit. Basically the book has climbed the rankings on the Audible market in the hockey genre. Now, there are some other books that are ahead of us, and I believe you know what I'm talking about, and they're making the TV waves and the streaming waves, if you will. So obviously, it's hard to compete with those, but I figured if I were to make a pitch for possibly like an 8th or 9th installment in some of these series, and maybe throw in a little bit of real life stories and see how they would work, this would be my pitch. So here it is, take 2 for Depleted Rivalry. 4 years. That's how long Matthew Tkachuk and Nikita Kucherov have been facing off against each other 4 times a season, and even more so in the post. How long they've been keeping their feudship a secret is unknown, but not from friends, from family, from the panhandled fans of Florida. If Matthew wants to stay at the top of his game, what he and Nikita share cannot remain a secret. He checks Nikita, but what if that cheap shot ruins everything? Nikita is sick of the Panthers now being the state's go-to team. Matt has gotten so good at riding the IR. Sometimes Nikita questions if they'll even face each other more than once the rest of the season. The geographic closeness, the animosity, even the risk of platooning that contract and reputation that came with being the guy that Calgary let get away. Nikita wants that third cup, but so does Matthew. It's time for them to decide what's most important, the cup or the feud. It's time to make a call. What do you think? Do you think it'd hold up? Do you think HBO would be knocking down my door? Pretty much use most of these words from somebody else, but that's what you do these days, don't you? When you're pitching something, you just take a little bit of this, you Frankenstein it up, and then you just spit it out. Well, we'll try again and see if there's another possible feud that might make the headlines for this depleted rivalry that I've started, this parody I have of the more popular series that are happening surrounding hockey and the extracurriculars that the romance genre brings to it. Enough of that. Enough of talking like the guy in the trailers for all the movies. Meanwhile, in a world, well, we're back to talking about the Red Wings. I know I have a little bit of a pause there, but speaking of the Red Wings, it's Wednesday, so that means it's over the hump. Now, last week for over the hump, it was leading into the game against Utah, and the question was, are we going to be able to continue the momentum from such an emotional win like beating Colorado and shutting out Colorado in Colorado? Well, we answered that pretty quickly by losing 4-1 to the Utah Mammoth. So once again, the Red Wings, after a big emotional win, kind of didn't show up. Sometimes it happens when it's the next game is the second of back-to-back, and we're a little gassed, but we didn't really have those excuses. It's not like it was a long travel. Denver to Salt Lake City, not that long of a travel. So plus you had an extra day off. You really don't have the excuses. I've learned now from McClellan that you get a little catered to while you're on the road. So we really don't have our excuses on that. So I feel like we're not very much over this hump of following up. And we got that big win hangover. It's been plaguing us several times throughout the season. And just looking at our remaining games on the slate and some of these heavyweights that we're still going to go up against and some of these games that might be big, we have to realize that there's going to be a game following that. And that's where we got to get those, win or lose in the big game. We got to get the wins that come after that. We definitely are going to have to grab a couple of points here or there to be able to maintain this residency within the playoff bubble. Looking at our future, coming back from the playoff, from the Olympic hiatus, we got 3 more games against the Panthers. Now the Panthers are sitting in last. I don't necessarily see that as a huge threat. They're playing poorly. We're playing great, but the Panthers can always have that ability to turn things around late in the season. So there's those. We have 2 more against the Lightning. We have all 3 of our matchups remaining against the Flyers, who are becoming a competitive team and have found themselves in and out of the playoff bubble as well. 2 more against the Devils, 2 more against the Senators. Here's the one game that I'm thinking about. After we play the Hurricanes, which is our second game back after the break. First is the Senators, the second is the Hurricanes, and then we take on the Predators in Nashville. Say we are to put up a big fight and actually maybe get away with one in Carolina and take on the Hurricanes and go away with 2 points rather than 1 or 0. That Predators game might be another one of those possible tests for us to sit there and say, are we going to be over this hump? Are we going to be able to come out of this big win hangover with another win? And I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm hoping that we win those first 3 games out the gate and just kind of establish ourselves. Those are going to be very tough games, though. These are teams, well, the Senators haven't beat us yet this season, but the Canes have and the Predators have. So buckle in and let's just see if we can get over that hump. We're starting to do a little bit here or there to overcome the not scoring in the first. We are starting to overcome the quick lightning multi-goals within short periods of times and periods that kind of take us out of the game. We're starting to see a more improvement in that, but one thing that I will say that we need to improve on is that big wing hangover following the more competitive games that we have where we really just put it all out there. We need to follow those up and maybe get another 2 every time to really maintain this pace and put ourselves back in the playoffs for the first time in 10 seasons. Now, I know I have basically spotlit DeBrincat. Alex DeBrincat is one of my favorite players to watch, and I love the dynamic between him and Patrick Kane. It's a dynamic that is carried over from Chicago over to here. But, the Cat had a pretty big momentous, time of his life, December 5th, when he had a newborn. And I was looking at his stats since December 5th. Starting December 6th, in the game that I went and saw, he actually assisted Kane on the game-winning goal. So Kane, DeBrincat to a Kane, and I was able to witness it wearing this exact hoodie, the Kaner hoodie that I got. So since having his new child, the Cat has 16 goals, 12 assists, so 28 points in all. The team, since the Cat brought in this new litter, they are 19-8-3. So thank you for the good luck there, newborn. Very excited. I probably should have looked up the kid's name, but for the sake of keeping it private for the family, I just leave that to the people who want to actually jump on search engines and look for that kind of stuff. But DeBrincat obviously has been one of the bigger workhorses. He's put on, I think he's got the most shots on the team. He and Larkin are the 2 tops and shots on goal. They're the 2 top in goals scored. Cat's only basically trailing Raymond by a few points for the most points on the team. He already is the most goals on the team with 30. So he's already a 30-goal scorer already again. And he's still got 24 games left to play in the season to maybe get that up to a 40-goal season once again. I think he's already had it twice, and he's even had a season of 39. So it's a little too much to ask him to have another kid before the season ends. I don't think that's physically possible. Biology has taught me that. But hopefully this momentum and the streak that he's on right now and the role that he and the Red Wings are on overall since December 5th, maybe that can continue on. So tomorrow we will get a little bit more of Olympic action, maybe talk about a couple more teams and see how things are kicking off over there in Milano. But in the meantime, this has been Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, LGRW from the PNW.